episode of Naruto Shippuden, the power of youth burns a bright and awesome red, because in this week's episode, Gai is getting ready to battle against Madara Uchiha. Not only that, but we got our final flashbacks with Gai and Dai in this week's episode, and honestly, I really enjoyed it. I'm not really the biggest fan of flashbacks, but when it's material that we haven't seen before, especially with characters that are really fun and infectious, like Gai and Dai, that makes this episode really exciting. What I really loved about this one is this big running gag that's been going through this entire flashback sequence, where every once in a while you'll have Gai and Dai and they're outside, and they're embracing each other, hugging each other, talking about the power of youth, how they should use their self-rules and never give up, and there's always a bystander watching, and it's always these two women who are just completely freaked out by Gai and Dai. They are just completely turned off by these two, and honestly I think they're being a little bitchy, but it's a really funny joke because no matter how they react, every single time, Gai and Dai always end up giving them the good guy smile with a nice big thumbs up. But really, this whole episode was all about Gai doing his training, how he actually joined the academy as an alternative, and how he learned to actually open up the 8 inner gates. And believe it or not, this is all because of his father. Even though his father is seen as something as a failure when compared to his peers, he did unlock this special ability to unlock all of his 8 inner chakra gates, which gives him a lot of power. Now, how he actually achieved this is kind of unknown. It's claimed that he did do a little bit of training outside, and over the course of 20 years, he was able to master this ability. But what's really great is that this is the true ability that he's going to be able to pass on down to his son, Gai. And at the very end of the episode, we actually get to see this really great scene where he's with his former teammates, and they're actually fighting against the ninja swordsman of the mist. And this is a really great callback, because we get to see a lot of those old guys that we've never seen before. The person who is actually using Zabuza's executioner blade is a completely different swordsman. And we also got Raiga, who actually returns, who, when I saw him appear in the manga, I thought that was really crazy. Now that he's back in the anime version, it just officially confirms that Raiga is not just a filler character, he is truly an official member of the group, and it's very fitting, because even when you go back and watch that old filler Raiga arc in the original Naruto series, it was actually Rock Lee who was battling against him. So in many ways, this has sort of come full circle, filler speaking. Otherwise, the episode ended with that nice little cliffhanger with his father getting ready to unlock all of the gates, save Gai and all of his friends, and at the very end of the episode, Gai unleashes his true abilities, and he has this red aura explode from his body, his eyebrows and hair become all fiery, and even Madara looks pretty freaked out, ending this week's episode. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden? This was a very nice flashback for the characters of Gai and Dai, just getting to learn about them a little bit more. Gai has really come a long way, you know. When you see him now, you just always recognize him as the super happy-go-lucky power of youth guy, but he never really used to be like that whatsoever. When he was younger, he had a lot of doubts. He questioned a lot of the weird things that his father was teaching him, and as the episode was actually going on, you can see that little by little, Gai himself was actually surpassing his own father, and this put a lot of disappointment in him, but luckily, he built up a nice relationship and rivalry with Kakashi. I especially love the scene when they were training with each other, fighting, sparring, and then playing rock, paper, scissors on a mountain cliff. It was probably the most atmospheric scene of the episode. But honestly, this one right here is just a true build-up to the battle between Gai and Madara. And this is a battle that I have been waiting to see for a really long time. I think it's one of the most important battles of the series. It's, without a doubt, Gai's ultimate fight. This is the moment where he is truly going to climax with his power of youth, and I cannot wait to see that happen. But after seeing the preview for the next episode, I'm a little apprehensive. I'm not quite sure what to expect from the next episode, because in all fairness, the artwork and the animation really doesn't look all that spectacular. There look like there are going to be a few moments of brilliance, and it looks like there is going to be a lot of impact from this battle, but in terms of animation and artwork, it's not quite what I was expecting and not quite what I was wanting from this battle. I was really hoping they were going to get one of their bigger teams to actually work on this one, kind of like some of the more classic episodes that we've seen in the series. Like, I was really hoping that the battle with Madara and Gai was going to be like on the same level as, say, like Naruto versus Sasuke or Kakashi versus Obito, and unfortunately, I just don't think that's going to happen. Now, I am going to reserve my judgment until I see the final episode. You never know. This might be like an episode of One Piece where there's like an action scene that just pops up out of nowhere, which is like way better animated than anything else that you saw from the rest of the episode. but typically what I've seen from Naruto episodes is that they get an animator to work, or an animation team to work on a single episode, and that includes point A to point B, beginning to end. They don't just like reanimate or do like these special select scenes. Maybe they'll do that in this instance. I really hope they do, because of the final fights of the series, this is one that's really going to start popping things off. After here, it's just going to get even crazier. But like I said, I'm going to reserve my judgment until I actually see that episode. I'm still really excited for it, and as per tradition goes, because when something cool or epic is about to happen, the series has to go on a break. Apparently, there is going to be no episode next week, and we're going to have to wait a little bit before we watch that episode. But a lot of you guys have actually requested that we do a live reaction to this episode. I might. It really all depends on how the episode turns out, you know. And Christian's going to be here with me too, so I'd like to see if he'll get joining me on that. And I think that would be a lot of fun. But like I said, it all kind of depends on how that episode turns out. But let's get back on track. This week's episode right here. It was really well done. It went by real quick. It gave us the full backstory of Gai and his father die. It was handled really well. It had great humor. It had great atmosphere. Great use of music, by the way, during all of the Gai's training sequences. I thought those were really good. And just getting to see the evolution of that character from that young, awkward little boy to a awkward man, which I think is really, really funny. But he's just brimming with confidence by the end of the series. So let's get excited. Next episode should hopefully be pretty freaking exciting. If anything, it's going to be action-packed, and that is definitely something to look forward to. You guys also look at the preview for the next episode. It also looks like Naruto is going to finally be meeting someone very, very important to the series, so let's make sure and stay tuned for that. What I will say is this week's episode was pretty good, decent animation, decent artwork, but really nothing mind-blowing, but this was still a good build-up to the battle between Madara and Gai. So I'm going to give this week's episode right here a 4 out of 5, an episode that any Naruto fan should definitely check out, especially if you're a fan of Gai and Rock Lee. This is definitely the episode for you. So, I like this episode a lot, but what about you guys? Did you like this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden? Did you like all of the Gai training sequences? What do you hope to see in the battle between Gai and Madara? And what do you hope to see from the rest of the Naruto Shippuden anime series? Just make sure to tell me in the comments section below. Thank you guys for watching my review. Make sure to like it, share it with all of your friends. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and follow us on social media. If you guys want to help support the channel, make sure to use our PayPal Amazon Associates link. Whenever you buy anything on Amazon, it will help support our channel and it won't cost you a thing. Look for that in the description box below and save that as your official Amazon bookmark link. But remember, the best way, as always, to support our channel is to simply watch our videos, comment on them, and to share them with your friends. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby!